we are. Good morning, folks. It's what's the date today? March 17th. Yes, and it's 7:45 or thereabouts, and it's the start of my spring vacation. So, but yeah, all set, ready to go. Going to be a long day driving. It's going to take me 5 days to get down to where I'm actually staying for a week. So. Yeah, and each day is going to be around about 400 kilometers of driving on non-tolled roads, so busy times. Bit of a later start. I didn't sleep very well last night as we had a pretty sizable earthquake here in Japan. A 7.4 is the latest estimate, so yeah, definitely very scary for people living down in Fukushima and Miyagi prefectures, but up here in Iwate, whilst it was still strong, it wasn't quite as severe. So yeah, after that I didn't sleep very much, as a bit wary of things, as you might say. So today's journey, if I can actually open up the right page, it's Hokkaido. Oh gosh. So I'm up here in Miyako. Let me just zoom into that. So yeah, basically I'm going to go across from Miyako along the 106 to the 46, and then there's this route 105 which takes us down onto the Nihonkai, the Sea of Japan, coast of Japan, in Akita prefecture. And then I'm going to travel all the way down route 7 down towards Niigata, which is just here. Yeah, this is the most exciting part of any road trip. There's all to look forward to. It's not yet begun, so I know that when I face the building that stands in front of me now, where I live, in about 2.5 weeks' time, I'm going to feel quite sad and empty, as I always do after these trips. But right now, let's just get started, I guess. It's got to start sometime. You can't hold back the tide of time forever. Anyway, off we go.
64.3% です。お問い合わせは4
Goodbye, Miyako. As I said in my recent 2 years in Japan video, I'm beginning to figure out what it is to really live my life. I expect I'm just a bit slow on the uptake, but after 20 years working in various jobs and doing various things, I've begun to figure out what really matters in my life. Many of us will say that vacations, road trips and so forth give us a bit more insight into the world, the lives of others, and indeed ourselves. This trip was no different for me, but underlined what I am coming to understand, what has been in front of my eyes for all of my life. In a way, Japan for the last 2 years has been like an extended road trip, and it's still a work in progress. I think the reason vacations often give us moments of clarity upstairs, or the sense of there being something else to life, is because it breaks the routine that all of our lives have been constructed in the main to become. And when we take a step outside of it, we begin to see with a greater clarity that maybe there is more to us than our jobs, our education, our ambitions, and what we do. And we discover who we really are, or at least begin to. If you persist at that for long enough, you can start to see why so many of us refer to the working week as the grind. I consider myself pretty lucky these days. I do actually enjoy my job in the main, although I'd happily cut my hours even more if I could afford to do so. Who wouldn't? And for all of the words I could give you, perfectly constructed and poetic, that's the answer, isn't it? Most of us wouldn't do what we do in life if we didn't have to. So the question isn't what do we do in life, but rather how do we stop or reduce doing what we don't want to do. That's the question vacation, travel, road trips and so forth often provoke in ourselves. But life still requires purpose, and that can be found through work. So how do we find that purpose in ourselves? For that, you often need to go right back to the beginning or take a leap of faith. Coming to Japan was that for me, and I had to go back to what I was good at as a kid, drawing and telling stories, to find my purpose in life. There were complications, but let's keep this simple. And standing up for the things I do hold precious in my life, I wanted to mention some words from my favourite writer, Jack Kerouac. In our present day times, it's often the done thing to either entirely ignore or discredit a person's work because there are aspects of an individual that are disagreeable or entirely despicable. But I don't personally believe that means someone's words or work should be entirely discounted or ignored in this age of new Puritanism. Kerouac was a terrible womanizer and often treated the women in his life despicably, but his writing often cut through lucidly about life on the road that told some truths about life in itself. I think this was due to his spontaneous prose methods that he adopted, where his stream of consciousness was what he wrote. First, he wrote, "I had nothing to offer anybody except my own confusion." Isn't that how it is sometimes upstairs, and is often revealed when driving these long road trips? The stream of thoughts seem to be clear when taken in long form, but trying to piece it together and untangle it is often impossible. And I feel like I've gone through life holding so much of me back, of what I think about work, education, jobs, money, and so forth, that all I have ever really given to people is confusion, because I was unknowingly confused myself. I was tripping over myself to not offend, but to confirm. Henry David Thoreau also said of this, "The fathers and mothers of this town would rather hear the young man or young woman at their tables express reverence for some old statement of the truth than utter a direct revelation themselves." Many of us, myself included, have been put into the economic straitjacket without knowing and without thinking, and what I saw as normal was anything but. It was just one way to live a life, and to be an economic slave to something I would never have control over, and still will never. But everything I do now is to tip those scales as much in my favour as I can. I hope I can begin to explain not just why I see things this way, but how I'm working to tip those scales and that balance. And then not only will I not be confused, but I will have more to offer than just my confusion. And second, another very famous quote of Kerouac's. What is that feeling when you're driving away from people and they recede on the plain till you see their specks dispersing? It's the too huge world vaulting us, and it's goodbye. It's not just people, it's places, it's memories, and it's feelings too. I've always believed that looking back alone does no good. It's important in life to continuously have the plane receding in the rear view, not to run away from places, or people, or indeed yourself, but to set yourself to be truly free in life. Your past will trap you if you're not careful, and suddenly that plane will sit motionless because all you're doing is sitting looking in the rear view, unable to let it go. Create new memories, learn new things. Nothing changes if you don't change or change it. All so much easier when said than done, but not impossible if you really want it. It doesn't mean you don't value what has gone before, but you don't make a god of it, unable to look forwards. Your memories will always become faded, curled and pinked, and then someday someone will ask you if it ever really existed in the first place, and you will become uncertain that it ever really did. But in all that time imagining the past, you didn't imagine and actualize your future. So let's just take a look at the map. I keep a bit further. Yeah, cool. Okay, probably this page. I am here. Atsumi Michinoaki. Here you go. That's where I am. So, right on the coast. So I've got to go all the way down here. So roughly back on this map, wherever it was. Okay, Niigata is here. So I'm roughly, that's Murakami, Suroka. I'm somewhere about here, just about to cross into the prefectural boundary into Niigata. So a little ways to go yet, and of course I started up here. Okay, let's go. So, we're leaving Yamagata. Just up here is the prefectural boundary. And that will mean that we have crossed Iwate into Akita, Akita into Yamagata, and very shortly Yamagata into Niigata. So, that's some good progress, huh? There it is, Murakami-shi. Now, there is a wicked skate park here. Sadly, I'm not going. There's just not enough time. There'll be plenty of opportunities later on though, although I do want to come here perhaps for a little bit of a vacation one day to spend some time at the skate park here.
It's gotta be me, there's no way someone else could feel this way I feel about you. And we're free to be what we want and touch the sky together. Before you came around, I was drowning in the depths of despair. And then when you finally came, it's funny you were unaware. But when you look in my eyes, I'm a rabbit in the headlights. And when you're touching my skin, I'm a river in the moonlight. It's got to be the right time, the right place, the right kind of moment. It's got to be the right kind of feeling and deeper emotion. I'm holding back insecurity, taking me 2 steps forward, 1 step back from you. I'm afraid if I try to reach too soon that you might back away. How can I try to hide a feeling that's so wonderful? How do I tell you that you're the fire burning in my soul? 'Cause when you look in my eyes, I'm a rabbit in the headlights. And when you're touching my skin, I'm a river in the moonlight. It's got to be the in my soul.